Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports.
What is up, everybody? I'm Milan Jordan. This is the MMA Daily Blitz, brought to you by FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. Hey, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check out our YouTube page, and you can follow me on social media on Twitter at Milan Jordan. All right, big news from the UFC this past weekend. Some people who they call the GOAT is back. Johnny Bones Jones is back. His long-awaited heavyweight debut now has a date, Saturday, March 4th, UFC 285 at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, where he will face Cyril Gane for the vacant UFC heavyweight title. Wait a sec. UFC heavyweight title is vacant. Wait, what about heavyweight champ Francis Ngannou? Well, his contract was not renewed. Francis Ngannou fought the last fight of his deal in January of 2022 at UFC 270, a win over Cyril Gane. As Ngannou was recovering from a knee injury, he and the UFC were in a contract dispute. Ngannou's contract ended in December, and as is the case with most UFC contracts, the promotion has 1 year to match any offer a UFC fighter gets from another promotion. Well, Dana White said this past weekend that the UFC is waiving its right to match, so Francis Ngannou is now a free agent, free to sign with another MMA organization or boxing promotion. Ngannou, he's long awaited to get a big payday and have a boxing match with Tyson Fury. Reportedly, that was one of the sticking points between Ngannou and the UFC during contract negotiations. UFC was not willing to let Ngannou have a one-off boxing match for a big payday under their umbrella. So appearing on the MMA Hour earlier this week, Ngannou said that some other things he was looking for: health insurance, not just for himself, but for all fighters, something fighters don't currently have as they are considered independent contractors, and also the ability to seek his own sponsors as he could wear into the octagon. As you know, the UFC has an apparel deal with Venom, previously with Reebok, that requires all fighters to wear Venom gear for all fight week appearances. Before and during and after the fights, the fighters do get a cut of this, but it's not nearly as much as they would get or did get when they could appear with their own sponsors. So Francis Ngannou, again, a free agent. He's now out of the UFC heavyweight picture. Cyril Gane and John Jones will fight for the heavyweight title at UFC 285. Jones, he's going to be making his first appearance inside the octagon in over 3 years. His last appearance inside the octagon was a decision win over Dominic Reyes to retain the light heavyweight title. And look, John Jones, he has some outside the octagon issues that are well publicized, but inside the octagon, he is widely considered among the greatest, if not the greatest, MMA fighters of all time. He's got a record of 26-1. That loss coming via disqualification because of the illegal 12-6 elbows. Kind of controversial at the time, but look, Johnny Bones Jones, John Jones, however you want to, whatever you think of him outside the octagon, inside, he is the GOAT, or at least certainly in that conversation. Look, all of his fights have been at light heavyweight. March 4th will be his first fight at heavyweight. His first appearance inside the octagon, like I said, in over 3 years, February 8th, 2020. It's a span of 37 months between fights. Now, he's been training as of late, and he's been staying out of trouble for the last recent past. So, credit to him. So he's been focusing on training and getting his body built up for heavyweights. Coming off a very long layoff, moving up a weight class against a more than formidable foe in Cyril Gane. Could be why John Jones opened up as an underdog for the first time in his career. We'll see if that is the case come fight night. So we shall see. Now, look, a guy that was really heavily rumored to fight John Jones for Johnny Jones's heavyweight debut is former champ Stipe Miocic. When John Jones versus Cyril Gane was officially announced, Stipe tweeted, "March 4th. I like it. I got winner in July," end quote. In an interview with Ariel Helwani, Stipe said that he would have been ready to go against John Jones on March 4th, but he'll sit back and he'll wait for the winner of Jones Gane come July. Speaking of the UFC 285 card, it was announced that Valentina Shevchenko, arguably the number one women's pound-for-pound fighter in the world, will put up her flyweight championship on the line against Alexa Grasso. And lost in the hoopla of the John Jones return and Francis Ngannou getting stripped of the heavyweight belt. Oh, by the way, there were some fight announcements for the UFC 286 card at the O2 Arena in London, with a couple of bangers at the top of the card. The headliner, a long-awaited rematch for the welterweight title between new champ Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman. The co-main event is a lightweight clash. Justin Gaethje will take on Rafael Fiziev. All right, this past weekend, the UFC had its first fight card of 2023 in a fight night at the UFC Apex. The main event, Sean Strickland, a very late replacement coming on just a few days' notice. He ended up beating Nasruddin Imavov via unanimous decision in the main event. Featherweight co-main event, Dan Ige beat Damon Jackson via KO in round number 2. The other fights on the main card in the middleweight division, Roman Kopylov defeated Punahele Soriano via TKO in round number 2. In the women's 135-pound division, Raquel Rocky Pennington defeated Caitlin Vieira via split decision. And then in the first fight of the main card in the featherweight division, Umar Nurmagomedov defeated Hane Barcelos via KO very late in round number 1. All right, we talked about a couple of upcoming pay-per-views for the UFC this year. Well, this weekend is the first pay-per-view of 2023. UFC 283 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The main event is for the light heavyweight title as Glover Teixeira, former champs, takes on Jamal Hill. In the co-main event, it's going to be for the to unify the flyweight championship. Davison Figueiredo takes on Brandon Moreno. This is the fourth time these two fighters are fighting. This is the first time in UFC history that two fighters will face each other 4 times. These two fought to a majority draw at UFC 256. Moreno won by rear naked choke at UFC 263, and then Figueiredo won by unanimous decision the last time they fought at UFC 270, nearly 1 year to the day, when they meet this Saturday again to unify the flyweight championship. Elsewhere on the card in the welterweight division, you got Gilbert Burns taking on Neil Magny. The women's flyweight division, Lauren Murphy, coming off a big win, will take on Jessica Andrade. And in the lightweight division, Paul Craig will take on Johnny Walker. All right, headlining the prelims, Mauricio Shogun Hua, his retirement fight, as he will face Ihor Portera in the light heavyweight fight. Shogun, look, one of the legends of MMA. He's a former Pride middleweight Grand Prix winner, former UFC light heavyweight champion. By the way, the last man to hold that title before John Jones. His fight against Dan Henderson, Shogun and Dan Henderson in 2011 at UFC 139. One of the greatest fights I've ever seen in MMA. And if you get a chance, check that out on YouTube. Just absolutely phenomenal. That was in San Jose, 5-round fight that went the distance. And man, I mean, two legends getting together and putting on an absolute show for fight fans everywhere. Now, this Saturday, it's going to be the 41st and final fight of the 41-year-old Shogun Hua's career. 21 of his 27 wins to this point have been via knockout. The swan song to Shogun's long, legendary career will be again this Saturday night in his native Brazil, and we'll recap it for you next week. All right, folks, that'll do it for the MMA Daily Blitz, brought to you by FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you consume your podcast. Also, follow me on Twitter at Milan Jordan. Check out our YouTube page as well. That'll do it for this edition of the MMA Daily Blitz. Enjoy the fights this weekend, folks. I will talk to you later.